All right, I'm going to do a instructional video of how to breast out a wild goose. I'm cleaning some geese that we shot this morning, so I figured I'd take the time to make this little instructional video. This will apply to pretty much any kind of fowl at all, or chickens, ducks, geese, whether they're wild, farm raised, whatever, doesn't really matter. You can Sometimes I'll pluck the entire bird. More do that with ducks than geese, but like you would process a chicken, pluck all the feathers, chop off the wings, chop off the feet, the head, gut it, and then you'd have the same type of looking bird like you would buy a whole bird at the store. But for these Canada geese, most people really just take the breast meat, as that's the most desirable meat on a wild goose. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. Basically what you do is you pull some of the feathers and you expose the skin, and you make an incision and you start separating that skin away from the breast meat, and the feathers will also separate at the same time. It's a little bit messy, but nothing too bad. So first you're just going to start with grabbing some feathers, and you just pinch them in your hand like you're pinching somebody on the back of the arm or something. Just grab those feathers and just pull them straight back towards you. And they'll just come off pretty easy. These guys have, you can see, it goes all the way up to like my second knuckle. That's how deep their feathers are. That's how much down they have to where the meat actually, or the skin actually is. So I'm just going to basically expose a nice little working surface here. You can do as much or as little as you want. You could pluck out this whole bird here. All right, so now, as you see, once you get going, you can pick up and away. So I've exposed a good bit of the skin here. So now I'm just going to take my knife. I'm just going to pinch in my fingers, like you're pinching someone's skin. Make a little incision. You want to, you don't want to get into the meat. It's not the end of the world if you do, but you'll see here what I mean. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm just trimming the skin away from the meat, trying to be as careful as I can to not nick up the breast meat. So now you can see where I've exposed, and I'm starting to peel the skin away from the meat. And you can actually kind of just work your fingers in there at this point and start working that away. And I'm just going to keep doing the same thing, just going to kind of, and what I'm doing, it's probably hard to see, but you might be able to see it when I go over to this other breast, if I show that on camera. It's the same process for both sides, so I really don't need to show both. Some more of these feathers out of my way, so I've got a nice clean. Alright, so now I can pretty much just separate this skin right from that breast. Alright? You're going to have feathers in your way. There's just no getting around that. But you can see how I've started to expose the meat from the skin. You can see the difference, the skin and the fat. Now, the fat layer on a wild goose is not super desirable to eat, which is, why a lot of people breast them out. It's not like a farm raised where they kind of control their diet. These geese are all nice and fat for winter. You can see I kind of nicked into the meat a little bit there, but again, it's not the end of the world. My knife's really sharp, which obviously a good sharp knife is what you want. Now, I've just rolled that back, and you can see where that breast kind of drops off. There's like a ledge right here. I'm trying to show you. Kind of hard to show with the feathers, but and now basically I've exposed all the breast meat on this side of the bird. Okay, just rolled that skin right on back and away. Now we're just gonna use our knife and follow the anatomy of the bird, the breast plate and bone here. We're gonna let that guide our knife. This would be like similar to also like if you're cutting out like the back strap on like a deer or something, you just follow the spine. Just let the bone be your guide. All right, so now I've essentially worked that meat away from the bone about the best that I could here. Now I'm just gonna make sure I'm still tucked in tight. So now I'm gonna follow that right down and around. And now I'm just gonna separate the rest of this breast meat right away from the bird. And while it's kind of hard to see on camera, if you ever do this, obviously don't want to cut yourself, so be careful there. You literally, once you've cut that away, look, and there's some more meat that we can trim out of here. You just can use your fingers. Now I've filleted that whole thing back. That's the inside of the bird's breastplate there. Okay. This puppy's just about free here. Right there. Now you can see you just got this last little bit. Well, I say you can see. And there you go. There's a nice, pretty much perfectly cut out. Now what you're seeing here is you're seeing the wound channel from the steel shot when we shot these birds. So that's what you're seeing there. But there you go. Now what'll happen is, you know, this will get cleaned up a little bit more, and I'll soak these in a salt brine for about 12-ish hours, all these in the refrigerator, and then I'll vacuum seal them and freeze them till I'm ready to eat them. So that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of meat left behind here that you can skin out of there that, you know, sometimes your knife doesn't get quite as far in as you'd like it to. But, you know, a little strip of meat there, that's good meat there. I'll set that off to the side. That's good meat. A lot of people make goose jerky. So if you're just making jerky anyway out of this, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be a perfectionist with your getting your breast meat out of there, because you're just gonna do strip jerky anyway. But when I'm trying to save a whole breast to eat like a meal, like a chicken breast or something, you know, how you would cook a chicken breast, I like to make sure I keep as much as meat intact on that as possible. And you know, I've never done this on camera before, so I was trying to, you know, work it. But you can see that meat's pretty much, for the most part, all cut out of there. And you can see it's basically like it's ribs here, and that's that whole cavity right here. That's bone right there, right down to the bone. That whole cavity was just filled with all that goose breast meat. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, but I'm not gonna do that on camera because you pretty much get the gist of it. So, all right.